So I've turned the laptop on, and here we have the version 11 sketch, which is the latest tested version. I've got a version 12 which does auto saving. I haven't tested that yet. So what we need to do is connect the Wheelieometer up to the laptop with the USB cable, like that, and you'll see it's flashing again even though it's turned off because it's powered through the USB. And then in the software we need to select what type of Arduino we've got, which is already on Arduino Nano, which is right. We've got the sort of processor, and we've got the port, which I'm thinking is probably COM18, but I haven't checked. And then we do upload, and it takes forever, this. And it says done uploading, and look, the display has just come on, so that looks very promising. This one's got a white display, unlike the blue display on the test versions. So we seem to be getting some sort of angle there. Remembering we've got some averaging time on the angle. Let's see if the other buttons work. So I haven't got it labelled yet, so I've got to remember that one should cycle around the different displays. The clock hasn't been set obviously, so it's on 0. The weather, so we've got a temperature of 25, so that looks promising. I haven't got the wheel sensor connected, so it's not coming up with those screens. The diagnostic screen, so it's showing you the sideways tilt. And back to the angle. Top button should do a reset. Doesn't seem to be doing. Oh yes, here we go. And the middle button should do a auto save or a save. There you go, that's working. So that's all looking promising. So now we can also start up in setup mode. If we press and hold that button and turn it on. So I can set the clock to 2019. I can set the month to 3. I can set the date to the 8th of March. I can set the time, so it's 21. And the minutes to 15. Seconds I don't really care about. Angle threshold, oh that's probably why it wasn't working properly, so that's 15 usually for detecting a wheelie. Angle averaging time, oh this is why it's all going a bit strange. Half a second. Tilt sensor can be off at the moment. That's so if you steer in the air when you're wheeling. Oh, and it's not asking me for the other stuff because I haven't got a wheel sensor. Oh yes, so now it's working now. What fooled me was my earlier versions, the angle threshold was fixed, and obviously with the new one where it stores in memory, it's loading at something crazy. So we can see here that now the two LEDs are working, the wheelie detected and the maximum wheelie. So it all seems to be good. But now I've got this plug in the wheel sensor socket, which is the reed switch that goes onto your wheel like a normal bike computer. it's now going to ask me for all the setup parameters for the distance measuring. So we do the angle threshold as before. Remembered that. Remembered the averaging time. Tilt sensor. Let's remember that. So now it should ask us this other thing. So the wheel diameter. So I'll put that on sort of a BMX wheel size of 20 inches. And then I can't remember what it asks you for next. Oh, the rider weight. So we'll say they're 40 kilograms. So always you step through the value or you hold the button down, it keeps changing the value. And once you release, or once it hasn't had a button press for a few seconds, it then moves on to the next menu. So I'll have the bike weight next. So say that's 20 kilograms, 25 kilograms perhaps. Then it'll ask us for the units of measurement for all the different things. So units for speed, miles an hour, let's say. So all our speed limits are in miles an hour. But distance we might want in kilometres and metres, or miles and yards, but I'm going to have it in kilometres. It automatically switches to the larger units. Energy units, you can have joules or kilocalories. We'll put it on kilocalories. Power, watts or kilocalories per hour. I'll say these buttons aren't as good as the original ones I had. And then this rev sensor test is the last thing that happens in setup mode. So if we pretend that the wheel's going round and short those contacts out, we see it counts the revs, and there is a sort of debounce on this, so it'll only count so fast. When it gets to 255 it goes back down to 0. But anyway, to press end we press display, which is the bottom button. So now we should be able to cycle through all the other menu options. So we've got the normal angle, we've got wheelie time. That's like a big display so you can see it easily while you're wheeling. That's the idea. Got speed, so if I give it some pulses on the thing, it'll tell us a speed. And there's an averaging time on this, so it doesn't update instantly. We've got distance, so that changes to kilometres after it's gone over half a kilometre. Ride statistics, so that's a summary of your distance, time travelled and average speed, excluding any stop periods where it didn't measure any pulses. Speed summary of instantaneous speed, average speed and maximum speed. Energy kilocalories, which is based on a formula based on the distance you've travelled and speed and whether you're going uphill or downhill. Instantaneous power in watts, so again if I give it some pulses it'll come up with a value on there after a few seconds. And then the clock, which obviously is reset to 0 because it hasn't got a battery backup in at the moment. And the weather, so we've got the temperature, humidity and pressure in millibars. And this is the diagnostic, so it's got your vertical angle, your tilt angle sideways and the software version. So if we take another look inside, we can see we've got lots of spare pins. On the accelerometer it supports 2 different communications protocols, so that's why that's got spare pins on it. There's some extra functions on the clock. It's got a square wave output which we aren't using, and it's also got provision for a temperature sensor which isn't mounted on there. The Arduino itself, we're only using how many inputs? We've got the 2 switches because the reset's connected to a reset pin, and then we've got 2 on here, one to detect whether there's a sensor for the wheel and one to read the wheel sensor, and then we've got 2 LEDs, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 inputs we're using out of 13, so there's plenty of capacity for doing other things with it. And then we've also got 2 analog pins in use, which are this data bus between all the components. The next thing to do is to print some labels to go on the wheelieometers, for which I'm using this Brother label printer, which is pretty good. I've had it a couple of years. The only problem with it is that it hasn't got a QWERTY keyboard, which is a bit of a pain. It can do things like cable labels and flags and things, which is quite good, and it's got electrical symbols. Like a lot of printers, I think they sell it as a bit of a lost leader and hope to make their money on labels. But actually you can get generic labels on the internet for about £2 or £3 each, so that's not too bad. One problem with the design of the machine is the way it laminates the labels means that you waste a lot of label at the end of the label. So one way of getting around that is to print all your labels at once and then cut them up afterwards. So you have to go into the menus on the machine and get to this margin menu, and then change that instead of full, which is the default that it changes to every time you turn it on, which is annoying. You have to change it to chain print, which means it prints all the labels hard up against each other for you to chop up afterwards. Whereas if you have it on full, it means that all the wasted label at the end that you cut off is matched by the other end, so you waste about half as much label as you're using. So I'm going to print some ones that say power here. Obviously I need 3 of each label I'm doing. So I press the print button and then I say I want 3 copies. And out comes the label saying power. No, I don't want it to feed. You see, it's determined to waste label, and that looks, this has printed 3. So that's done all the single line labels and started to do some double line labels, which you can do on the wider labels. I've changed to a 12mm label tape. So to do a double line label, you press carriage return and then enter your second line of text. I can also do a border like that. I'm not sure if this is going to come out centered. This is the Wheelieometer Plus label, which is a bit hit and miss doing centering, because if you count the number of characters, I think some of them are proportionally spaced, so they don't come out the same width. So I'm only going to print 1 to start with. So second time lucky with those. The first one was a bit wrong, and then I've got it centered now. And there's all the 2 line labels ready to go. I noticed I had a dud one here. I don't know if there was some dodgy bit on the label, so I printed an extra one of those. So I'll just show you the wheel sensors I've been making up. One end has a reed switch, which is triggered by the magnet on the wheel, and the other end has a power socket that plugs into the wheelieometer. These reed switches are very delicate, they're made of glass, and 2 have broken already when I've been soldering them. Managed to smash them. So I'm going to put some tubing over this yellow tubing here over the top of the sensor to protect it a bit, and then some heat shrink over the top of that, and put some araldite in the end. These 3 here have had their heat shrink on, and this one's just got the under protective yellow sleeving on, which I'm going to do now. So I just do it there with a hairdryer, and I do it on this old book because otherwise the carpet melts, like it has over the other side. where I was mending a welding machine. Then I better check they all work on this magnetic ornament here. Hopefully it should show me a speed in a minute. Here we are. So I'll go through and test them all. So the sensors have now been araldited in the end to waterproof them, and I've also fixed the mounting bracket onto the back of one of the wheeliometers with some araldite to stop it coming loose. So there we have a completed wheelieometer, and one day we'll find someone to wheelie on it, and I'll upload a video of that, but as yet I haven't. So I hope you enjoyed this wheelieometer construction video, and please like and subscribe.